Hi everybody. Today we are going to solve the question from chapter Inheritance, and this is from ICSE 2025 question paper. Let's see what this question is saying. So farmer is actually, taking two species of tomato plants and cultivating a new species. Let's see what are the traits that he is taking. Number one trait is tall plant bearing red fruits. Number two is dwarf plant. This plant is crossed with dwarf plant bearing yellow fruit. Okay. What is the result that you are getting in F1 generation? It is this. Let's see the question. We have to explain the phenotype of the offspring in the F1 generation. So what is the phenotype? What is the phenotype? If you look closely, now what you have to look over here, let's say you have to look at the phenotype this F1 generation, okay? And you know it is what? Capital T, small t, capital R, small r, which means what? That in F1 generation, the phenotype is what? Tall plant with red fruits. This is the phenotype. Now, this is what you have mentioned what the phenotype is, but the question is asking you what? Look very closely again. Look at the question. It is asking you explain. So you have to explain why that phenotype is over there. So you have to tell in detail. So what you're going to show, how you're going to tell why the phenotypic ratio is why the phenotype is tall plant with red fruits, because when we write that F1 generation is TtRr, we means that in F1 generation, according to Mendel's law, the dominant characters are expressed. The dominant alleles are expressed. Now, what is the dominant allele over here? Tall plant and red fruits. Okay, so that is why, because of the Mendel's law of dominance, we know that the phenotype in the F1 generation is tall plant with red fruits. I hope this is clear. Let's look at the second question now. The second question is mention the phenotypic ratio. Now this time phenotypic ratio of F2 generation. Now this time look very closely to the question. They are not asking you to explain. They are instead asking you to just mention what? Phenotypic ratio F2 generation. You should be knowing that what is the F2 generation phenotypic ratio. F2 generation phenotypic ratio is nothing but 9:3:3:1. You have to mention this. See the answer how you have to write. The phenotypic ratio is what? 9:3:3:1. You cannot stop at this point. Very, very important. Read the question carefully, answer it even more carefully. When you are writing the phenotypic ratio, it is not a done. You have to explain, you have to mention what this 9 stands for, what this 3 stand for. So let's see, this 9 means what? That the plants are tall with red fruits. 3 means tall with yellow fruits. 3 means dwarf with red fruits. And 1 means dwarf with yellow fruit, which means recessive characters. Okay, so this is how exactly you have to answer to get the score. Understood? Let's look at the third question. The third part of the question is state. Again, look very closely, very closely. It is asking you this time state. 3 forms of question they have asked you: explain, mention, state. You have to be very careful with these words. When it is asking you state, it means something that you have to write as it is. And when it is asking you Mendel's laws, especially laws, then remember always in boards exam, laws are written as it is. You have to learn the law and you have to write as it is. Okay, you cannot change anything over there. So you have to, when they are saying state the Mendel's law of independent assortment, which is the third law, You have to simply mention it. What law of independent assortment is? When there are two pairs of characters, which means a dihybrid cross, the distribution of the alleles of one character into the gamete is independent of the distribution of the alleles of other character. Okay, till here you have to mention as it is. So that's it. This is how you have to answer. You have to be very careful while reading the question, and even very careful while answering, that whether or not you're writing the right thing, that gives you marks. Okay, thank you.